What's going on, Soul Tribe? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to my channel, Alchemist 8. Justin here, and are you ready to set some intentions for this week? This is going to be an interesting combination of energies. It's like we're doing a lot of revisiting here. We got Venus and Mercury that are going to be re-entering back into Pisces, but then we also have this energy where it's like we're moving forward with Venus conjuncting the North Node, and then we also have a partial solar eclipse that's going to be happening too. So some real kind of dynamic shifts I think could potentially happen with these energies, and we'll get into that here in a moment. But if you are new here, again, my name is Justin, and one of the things that I do on this channel is talk about the Celestial News Weekly, the chit chat that goes on up in the sky. And I'm going to be covering the week of March 27th through April 2nd. We're already into April now, and let's get into it. Because on Jupiter Day, the 27th of March, at about 1:41 a.m., and that's going to be Pacific time, Venus retrograde is going to re-enter back into Pisces. And I will say, if Venus is going to retrograde back anywhere, Pisces is a great spot for that because this is the place where Venus finds her exaltation. And when a celestial body is exalted, this is where their highest qualities really shine through. And Venus being the lesser benefic, this is where all of her loving qualities, her abilities to build relationships and to create and to harmonize, those things, to bring this sense of luck and beauty. This is where she really shines through. And this is where we're looking at our maybe relationships. Again, because she's been going through this Aries and Pisces part of our chart. This axis is going to be getting a lot of action. Saturn's going to be doing the same thing, retrograding back over this point. And so when you're looking at this, what are some areas that are maybe needing some harmonizing, where we need to reevaluate and again maybe blend the two? There might be some relations between that Pisces and that Aries portions of your chart, depending on what house system that you work with. But this could be where, for example, if I have a Leo rising. So for Leo risings, I would talk about maybe there's something that's going on with your relationships. Maybe your beliefs with money are changing and you're maybe you're thinking about investing your money this way as opposed to that. Maybe you're thinking about putting your money overseas, possibly. That could be something that this Venus energy could be with, your soul. And this doesn't have to be just for moving. Maybe this is for like trying your business overseas, or, just thinking, sharing energies that way. So kind of get creative, Venus and Pisces, with these energies to see what kind of themes are kind of coming up there. And if, this is a great place too where there has been a lot of energies that have been a lot of big transits that have been going on. We had a couple eclipses, we got a lot of planetary ingresses and egresses. And so with all of this, if there has been maybe some frustrations in the relationship, Venus was in Aries for a little bit. Maybe things got a little hot, a little. Maybe things were some said. But now Venus and Pisces can just like forgive. Where it's just like, what, I see what was happening. I was on one, you was on one. The eclipse. Let's blame it on the eclipse, and then just keep it moving. Learn from the eclipse. Where it's like, what, let's establish a dialogue next time. When I'm feeling this way, maybe I need to step away for a minute. Venus can be very constructive here. So it's like, and that's just kind of in a general sense. But again, look at to see what house you have Pisces and Aries, because this area is where that Venus and Mercury are going to be highlighting here. Now let's talk about some Aries energy, because on Saturn Day, the 29th of March, at about 3:47 a.m., and that's again Pacific time, we're going to have that partial solar eclipse. And that's just when the moon, it doesn't quite cover the sun there. And I'm going to include a link for this website. It's a really cool eclipse tracker. I think it's called Time and Date. I got it from this course, Alexander Kolesnikov. It's fantastic information. But it shows you where it's visible. And I got a list here. So this eclipse is going to be visible, and this is just talking about like certain swaths of it's not the entire country or continent that you're going to be able to see it from. But it's visible in parts of Europe, North in Asia, Northwest Africa, a little bit. It says much of North America, but when I was looking at the pictures, like much of North America is like the tip of Maine, and then like into like getting into like kind of like northern Canada in that, and kind of like Greenland Greenland was in that area. And then north of South America, like a little bit, the Atlantic and the Arctic. So again, check this app out. It shows you where the path of it is. It's a really neat tool. But when you think about the solar eclipses, this is happening very close to a new moon. The new moon's gonna or the new actual new moon is gonna happen about 10 minutes later. And if you want to talk or to see what's going on with that, what themes are coming up in your chart for there, I do a more in-depth thing in my other channel, the Chariot in Front. So check that out if you want to get into the lunar shenanigans. But with the solar shenanigans, this is a brand new beginning that's going to be happening. And that's what the eclipses do, where the lunar eclipses are usually endings that are happening because they're happening near the south node. This is happening closer to the north node. So we're thinking about, just what do we want to start fresh here? What's something is going to, this is a new opportunity. Again, we were revisiting things with these retrogrades, and now we want to start fresh. We're thinking about just like new ways that this can go. We're imagining new avenues for ourselves, and keep that imagination going, because this is a little bit later at about 19. I got it in military time, but at 7:18 p.m. Mercury retrograde is going to re-enter into Pisces. And where this is a tricky place for Pisces to be, not only is it retrograde, but now it's in the position or the sign of its, not just its fall, but its detriment. So Mercury really is kind of struggling here in theory. Mercury is more used to being more analytical, things being more practical, because it shines in Virgo, where things make sense. And here it is more intuitive. And when you learn to work with that intuition, when you dip into the imagination, Mercury can shine, because there is an occult side of Mercury, a mystical side of Mercury that isn't really talked about. And I think that this could be really at a deep level, making like, what, I'm ready for this to change. I'm ready to see this avenue fixed. I want to, this area is like, man, this area has maybe gotten really just kind of out in shambles, and now I'm seeing it for what it is. Maybe it's been kind of I've been keeping it in a bit of a daydream, but now I'm really kind of seeing the thing, or I experienced it, saw it kind of fall apart, was disillusioned, and now maybe at the eclipse, and now it's like, okay, I'm ready to deal with this thing. I'm ready to take this thing forward. I got the capacity for it. I can visualize myself out of this thing and into a new chapter, whatever that chapter is looking like for you. Again, I'm talking very general here. And I actually meant to have a chart here for that eclipse. So this is going to happen at 3:47, just to talk about that real quick. And depending on, let me circle that, it's going to be happening. You see the sun and the moon are about 8 degrees there. The node's at about 27 degrees. It's a kind of tight little sandwich over here. But you see this section of our chart's very busy. There's a lot of action that's going on here. Mars is coming up on Saturn here soon. Jupiter's moving along, but yeah, this section of our chart's really busy. So you want to see there's a lot of attention that's being brought here. So just kind of tune in to see what are some new things that you're wanting to start. What are especially some big things with the eclipse. Again, what are some big things that you don't have to have the answers right now. It could just be a feeling, but jot down those ideas if something inspires you in some sort of way. Now, let's talk about the last transit here, which is going to be happening on a Mars day. This is the 1st of April. At about 1:39 a.m., Venus retrograde is going to form a conjunction with the North Node, and this is going to happen at 27 degrees and 21 minutes of Pisces. Now, when you talk about let's talk about a conjunction, because this is a fusion of energies. And so those Venusian, that harmony, beauty, creativity is being fused with our sense of direction. I like to think of the North Node as wherever you have the nodes in your chart, the North Node is an area where you're trying to master, whatever those themes are. And there's been a lot of attention, again, on this North Node, especially by Saturn, because Saturn's been here for a minute. And he's getting ready, he's going to retrograde out here soon, and he's going to come one more time. Like, wait a minute. Did I remember to tell you about this other thing? And that's going to be happening a little later, but we can get ourselves on track now, so that when Saturn comes and does a progress report, we're feeling good about when Saturn moves into the next house. You know what I mean? We can kind of feel like we've wrapped up business there. And that's a great place to leave with Saturn, when you feel kind of accomplished there. So this this north node could be thinking about, okay, how can I make, what actions can I take to absolve this? Because when you're forming a conjunction with the nodes, Venus talking with the north node is also talking with the south node, which deals with your past. In the past, it can become a comfort zone. That's when the south node becomes maybe more of a crutch. But when the south node really is meant for, you know what, I was ignoring this portion of my chart before. I was ignoring this theme, and now it's like in my face. And now I gotta do this thing. And you know what? I'm gonna show up better for it this time. And it may take me a little bit, but I can get this done. And Venus is going to give you that power, to give you that feeling like, yeah, I can get this done. I can get this moving along. You know what? Maybe I can talk with such and such. Maybe they can help me with this thing. And then she starts pulling relationships, because now your perspective has shifted too. And this is interesting. I like to talk about the Sabian symbols when we're talking about conjunctions and things, and like different retrograde and direct points. But the phase for this is phase 358 of Pisces. And it talks about a fertile garden under the full moon reveals a variety of full-grown vegetables. And that's a very lovely energy. It talks about the growing power of the moon. And in growing power, this is not just like an open field. This is a garden. It's tending to very specific needs that we're talking about here. And the keynote for this is the full satisfaction of the individual's basic needs. And so this is looking at, do I feel fulfilled in this place? Do I feel like there's an abundance here? Do I feel grounded in this area of my chart here? And if not, what can I do to fix that? And if so, let me celebrate it. Do something Venusian for yourself, and do something Venusian for yourself anyway, just to get you in that mindset of like accomplishment. You know what, we're going to go forward here, and we're going to grow things differently. I'm going to tend to this garden, this certain part, because you can think of the different houses. I remember listening to a podcast, and she would refer to the different houses as gardens. And that's a great metaphor. When you're thinking about tending to these things, if you ignore these areas of your chart or of your life, then they get grown over with weeds, and then they're a lot tougher to deal with. You can always overcome them, but it's just like how much work, as to where if we're just putting in the regular work, it's all laid out in nice little cycles for us, and we can just kind of do these little things, bam. It's all, because life is it's nothing but changes. It's like working with a plant. We are more high maintenance plants, if you will. So this is just making sure that you are getting the basic needs. And if you aren't, then maybe there might need to be some relationships and things that need to be cut off, whether this be with the person, with the substance, whatever that thing that may be hindering the garden. And the moon is shining bright. It's shining bright in the dark areas that maybe you've been ignoring. And that's fine that you've been, if there's been things that we've been ignoring, but now it's a great time to face it, especially if Saturn's coming. Saturn's going to talk with the North Node, and that's going to be a very different conversation. So we want to get ahead of it again. So just some things I think to think about with this, but I think a lot of momentum that can happen with this. We're in a very rich time to just get things moving. Life is happening, sure, but we can still thrive in this thing. We just don't have to survive in this. So just some things to think about there. But yeah, if you have any thoughts about this, leave a comment. We can definitely discuss more about this. And then if you want to work more personally with these transits and things, down in the description box is a link for an email to get in touch with me. We talk about the different services that I provide, and then go from there. Look at that, Venus conjunct the North Node. We're forming a relationship, and we're powering forward in this game we call life. And if you want to look into the lunar shenanigans and things like that, and learn about what's going on with the new moon and working with the moon, that's a very powerful tool. Whether you have Cancer placements in your chart or not, you got Cancer, a portion of your chart, and the moon rules it. Come on over to the Sheridan Friends. And I do videos every time the moon changes signs, and I just talk about her in different phases and when it's going void, of course. So good old time there. But until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep raising that vibration through the roof. And I will catch you. We're going forward. None of this retrograde mess. On the next one, Mercury Day.